Opinions expressed during the related show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Ant2.tv presents You and Your Doctor, teaching you to live a longer and healthier life. Proudly sponsored by All County Healthcare, where people are the heart of our business. All County Healthcare is a Medicare certified agency where one call will service all your home care health needs. For more information, call 954-717-7027 or visit our website, allcountyhealthcare.com. Now, let's get informed to living a longer and healthier life. Here is your host for today's show.
Welcome back to another episode of You and Your Doctor, sponsored by All County Healthcare. We are a certified home healthcare agency servicing Palm Beach County, Broward, and Miami-Dade. Our phone number is 954-717-7027. I am your host, Louise Gomez. Welcome to the show, everybody. And tonight, I am excited to introduce everybody to Jasmine Alexandre. And she is the liaison for Bell's Consulting Services. They are an employment consultant. She is actually the mental health intern, and she's actively providing therapy. You can reach her directly at 561-305-0879, and that is bellsconsulting.org, BAILESCONSULTING, bellsconsulting.org. Welcome to the show, Jasmine. We're happy to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you coming on, and we know you're a great resource to the community. And if you can please tell us a little bit about Bell's Consulting and how long have you been with them, and a little bit more about that.
So Bell's Consulting Services helps people of all different abilities, starting at age 14 to 100, find and keep successful employment. We have been officially doing that for 8 years. I've been with the company for 6. My CEO has been in the industry for, 20 plus years.
Nice.
You know, we're just helping people find passion and purpose through employment.
I love that. And so, how do people know, like, to look for you? Is it maybe, do they have to be on maybe resources or disability, or is it anybody can just come in who maybe, you know, they have a teenage child in high school who maybe is differently abled. They don't necessarily have resources. They want a part-time job. Would you be able to support those types of families as well?
Yes, we would.
Nice.
So primarily we receive our clients through vocational rehabilitation. And normally if they're a teenager, 14 and older, and still in school, then we would receive that referral through the school. The school refers them to vocational rehabilitation, and then vocational rehabilitation refers them to us or another vendor. But we also take private individuals as well. It just depends on, you know, that person's interests and needs.
And what areas do you service? Is it just here in Florida, or is it certain counties? Where do you service?
We serve most of Florida, all of
Nice.
South Florida, Orlando, Fort Myers. We're starting to serve in Jacksonville as well. So, and we can serve anyone throughout Florida virtually. It just depends on where we have, you know, people
Of course.
actually in person for some of the in-person stuff. But I mean, 90% of my clients I serve virtually, and I serve throughout Florida.
So would you set up a like a Zoom meeting to kind of meet with them? How does the process work? So if I were to refer you to somebody to your services, how would the process go?
So if you sent me someone, I would call them, speak with them, see what their interests are, what their needs are, and we discuss the possible referral to vocational rehabilitation. Um, and if they have a diagnosed disability, if they have an IEP, I would suggest referring them to vocational rehabilitation. And then they would go through a short process. If they're in school, then it would be a much quicker process. If they're an adult out of school, it would take a couple of months for that process to go through vocational rehabilitation. If they wanted to be a private client, then we would start the process immediately with them.
So you mentioned an IEP. So that tell us about it. It's an individualized education plan. How does that work, and how would they be able to get that IEP?
So in school, with Child Find, which is part of the ADA and um, the the laws for ADA for free education and
Mm-hmm.
quality education for individuals with disabilities, um, the teachers would identify someone who has a disability. They would test that individual, and then it would be determined that they needed additional services, and then they would get an individual education plan written out for them, school based,
Right.
and that individual education plan would also mention what their struggles are, whatever that difficulty is,
Sure.
and that would be an automatic approval for vocational rehab for eligibility as a high school or as a middle or high schooler. Once they graduate high school, then they would have to go through the eligibility process, the adult eligibility process with
Oh,
vocational
okay.
rehab.
How does that work? How does I know how to go through the IEP, like through the school and go through that. So as an adult, do you assist them through that process, or do you give them the resources, or how would one be able to get those resources to do that?
So we could refer them to vocational rehabilitation. We have the referral form. We could
Okay.
send it off to them. A counselor would then call and start asking them questions from vocational rehabilitation. Ask them for, do they have an IEP? Do they have medical documentation? Um, they would ask them for financials. They would ask them for a few
Sure.
things. They would have to go through a qualification process. Um, and once they are qualified, then, they are assigned to a counselor and determine like what services are going to be provided to them. And then they get referred out to vendors like us.
Nice. So, can you give us some examples of what type of corporations or companies are hiring, or what types of job descriptions, or what's out there? What companies are joining in on this?
Oh gosh, there's so many. It really just depends on the individual and what their interests are.
Okay.
I have biologists. I have
Wow.
horticulture. I've got engineers. I've got um, technicals, people like plumbing and air conditioning, electricians. I've gotten a few young individuals with no experience into those technical areas, and they're really thriving. Like you have a young individual just out of high school, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what I want to do,
Right.
but I'm okay with my hands." I'm like, "Okay, how about let's try an apprenticeship?"
Nice.
And so I have a great organization, a great air conditioning and restoration company in Boca Raton,
Nice.
Erica's Plumbing, that was absolutely willing to give a couple of our individuals a chance. And They have just been blossoming.
Oh, that's
Um,
nice. That's
yes.
great.
Um, I have computer repair, um, receiving in like Burlington and Marshalls,
Oh,
a
good.
cabinetry company in Davie that actually has trained a few of my people, and they've walked out of there with forklift certifications.
That is
So
amazing. You
yeah,
know, Jasmine, when I was younger, back in high school, they did once upon a time they had a lot more vocational resources. Like they had
yeah.
I remember seeing like for the guys or anyone at the time interested in car auto repair, they had
Woodworking.
woodworking, auto. They had so many more vocational resources. I just feel that it's kind of as the evolution has taken place throughout the years, it's kind of less and less. And I feel that it's so important. I also heard how those industries are booming because not a lot of people are doing those hands on plumbing or types of
Right.
things.
Yes. It very much has changed in the school system. You know, Generation X,
Yeah,
we had woodworking and automotive and
right,
housekeeping and home ec and all that stuff.
right.
And, now it's kind of disappeared and it's sad.
Yes.
Um, so then kids are walking out of high school graduation and they have no idea what they want to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of
And
different options.
there is college is really pushed in high school now, big time. Go to college,
Yes,
go to college, go to college.
right.
And I'm like, college isn't for everybody.
That's
If you're
right.
looking at someone who has other abilities, than
Right.
the average person, or someone who can't concentrate and sit for lectures for hours,
Mm-hmm.
you really limit their opportunities and ideas of options
Right.
when you don't include those technical schools and those trades that
Absolutely.
so many people could be getting into and not have to be already stressed out. They're going to be going 2 years in college just for their primary classes.
I get it. And I've heard there's a lot of like cybersecurity nowadays. I heard there's a lot of certifications you may not need a 4-year degree, and a lot of these people with
Yes.
cybersecurity are making a lot of money and they're getting some good contracts. So, is that something that, technical jobs that you have maybe, or would you refer them to
Yes.
that type of certification or something?
So, yes, actually, when it comes to cybersecurity and technical, like IT, computer certifications, I actually have a local company, small, it's grown now, computer repair company. He actually offers those certifications, and I've
That's
worked with him
amazing.
for years, and he's really great. I find the employers that are the most successful with their community relationship have a family member
Oh,
that has an exceptional ability.
I love
So
that.
they
An
push that.
exceptional ability. That is
Yes.
so, it's a paradigm shift in how we see things because we're all different and unique. And I love how, you know, everyone has their own abilities that can excel
Mhm.
and do so many other things. So I'm so happy that, you're able to engage the community and get those, companies to enroll in participating because so many people are differently abled. We're not all the same. So I think that's such a beautiful service that you offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, you know, so many people, I've come into this industry about 6 years ago, and um, there's so many people who just they don't get it.
Yeah.
Um, you're unlocking a world of adventure, you know, with many individuals. And with our company, we don't look at what is their disability, because that's, I mean, yes, that's a little bit of the objective, to make sure that if they need accommodations for whatever
Sure.
job they're at, that they can have them. However, I'm looking at, okay, what are your abilities? And that is our culture, is looking at what are your abilities? What do you want to do for work? And let's go find it.
You know, I love that perspective, because that's by sharing that perspective and having that perspective, you're able to share that with the community, so that we can think differently, and so that we can say everybody for their own unique, their own unique selves. Jasmine, do you do any type of like? I always thought this would be important in high school, and I don't think they ever did it in my high school. Do you do any type of like assessments where you do these different tests where you see, oh, they have this type of personality? Actually, I remember applying for a job. I had this whole personality assessment. It took me almost an hour or more to do, and the questions were so unique. And I I think that's important too. Like, are you doing those types of assessments to see what's their personality type or skill set?
Yes. We actually do vocational evaluations for vocational rehabilitation for individuals when they're coming in. And we have different assessment tools that we use,
Nice.
um, personality tests and interest profilers. You know, and it really does, if they're answering the questions correctly,
Yeah,
it really does bring out who they really are.
it's so
You
true.
know, we go
It's
over the assessments with them when they come out. I'm like, that's interesting. I'm looking at the, yep, that's you. Uh-huh.
I think it's important because we sometimes we ourselves don't realize how we are, and then we take these assessments, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm a supporter. Like, I like to support people. I like to share. I like to give. I'm a connector. Or no, some people they like their hands. They don't want to. Maybe they want to do things
Right.
with manual things. So we all have our own unique skills, talents, and abilities. And I feel like
Yes.
what you're doing really helps to extract them, highlight them, and then to be able to share them with the world.
Yep.
So
I
that's
just
so,
did an evaluation with a young man,
uh-huh.
and he went and he got a just a general uh, associate's degree
Okay.
in liberal arts. But he chose a job goal. When you go into vocational rehab and you decide what you want to do, you have to choose a job goal. And he chose a job goal of stocking. And I'm
Of
like,
what?
that's interesting. Of stocking, like stocking shelves in a
Oh,
store or
okay.
something like
Okay.
that. So I'm like, that's interesting. So as we were going through the evaluation with those assessments, it showed that he liked arts and drama, stuff like that. I'm like,
Oh,
so what's going on with this? He's like, well, I really do like the stage, but behind the scenes, I like to be a helper behind the scenes, plan things. I've done a couple of, I've helped with a couple of um, stage things and different acts and stuff. I'm like, that's interesting. So you don't have to be, you don't have to stay in that box
right.
of, of a stock clerk. You have interests that are that's a specific niche.
That's right.
If you're going to get a job, you might as well like it.
Yeah. Jasmine, we got a quick commercial break. We'll continue this conversation when we come back. I'm really enjoying it. We'll be right back, everybody.
Okay.
All County Healthcare has exciting news for any and all patients with COPD or other respiratory ailments. Listen to what renowned pulmonologist Dr. Keith Robinson has to say.
Hello, I'm Dr. Keith Robinson, board-certified pulmonologist, medical director at Fusion Health Pulmonary Rehabilitation, and a board member with the American Lung Association of South Florida. We have exciting news for patients with COPD. We now offer IPV therapy at home, which has been demonstrated to improve airway clearance, decrease hospitalization, and improve quality of life of patients with COPD. Please call All County Healthcare for more information about this FDA-approved therapy.
For further information, call All County Healthcare now at 954-717-7027. That is 954-717-7027, or visit our website at allcountyhealthcare.com. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Remember, All County Healthcare always puts the patient's needs first. You are listening to You and Your Doctor, Living Longer and Healthier, an informative show that helps you find answers to questions you always wanted to ask, but did not have that somebody that could make a difference in your life. Call into the show if you have a question at 888-565-1470, and we will put you on the air to inform all our listeners. Now, back to our show.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming back on. We have Jasmine Alexandre. She is the liaison for Bales Consulting Services. They are an employment consultant, and you can reach them at 561-305-0879, and their website is balesconsulting.org. Thank you so much for coming on, Jasmine. I'm really enjoying this conversation. Let me ask you this. I know you do personality assessments. So what did you realize that you want to do this work throughout because you are a licensed, you soon to be in a couple months, you will be a licensed mental health counselor. And I know that you are serving the community and you're actively providing therapy. So what type of personality traits do you have? Because I think that's amazing that you want to provide to the community.
So when I did the personality test, I was a helper.
Yep.
I like to serve. I'm a
Yep.
leader. I find that in my therapy, I'm a little direct as well.
Nice.
But yeah, yeah, that was my assessment.
I thought so. That's why I said, well, I know that I've done an assessment. I said supporter, so it's similar, helper, supporter. I love
Yeah.
to support the community. I love to be able to help people. To me, that's so fulfilling and satisfying, and I see that in you. That's why I asked you that. That's why I
Yeah.
asked you. But that's the exact type of person, the point that I'm actually trying to make here is that's the type of person that people want to call. Those,
Right.
you have the exact type of personality. You're a helper, you're a supporter, you are direct. Those are all the things that are needed for your job role. So I think it's important that people realize that, and I noticed that in you, and I think it's exactly what's needed for your role. Let me ask you as well, Jasmine, do you get any interns? First start them as interns or any internships at all, or not? Is that not something?
So actually, we partner with FIU,
Oh, good.
and we have a couple of interns with us now. They're getting their certified rehabilitation counselor.
Great.
So they're interning with us. They're working with clients. It's great.
That's
And they're
amazing.
doing really well.
That's amazing. So we have 3 minutes left. I just wanted to ask you, if there is a company out there right now and someone is listening, would they be able to call you and say, you know what, I would like to support these services in my company? So they would call this number, the 561-305-0879?
Yes, they would.
Good. I
That would
think
be wonderful. I love when organizations want to partner within the community to help individuals. One thing that some of my partners have told me is, we're so lucky that we, and thankful that we opened up that partnership. Um, the loyalty and commitment of the individuals that we bring to them is 100 times stronger than someone who's walking in on the street.
That's very impressive. That speaks a lot about the organization that you are affiliated with, and it speaks a lot into not only the organization but you and your team and just everybody and the whole vision that you have for your organization. So I definitely want to thank you so much. We have like 1 minute left. Any last words you want to say to the community?
I appreciate you having me on. Honestly, we give the credit to our clients. They're great, and we just love seeing the growth, from someone coming in who isn't sure if they're ever going to work to someone who is strong and working and has their own place and, just thriving. That's our whole goal. That's what makes it all worth it.
Thank you so much. This was such an amazing conversation. Anybody out there listening, a last chance. I'm going to give you the phone number. Please write it down. 561-305-0879. Please get in touch with Jasmine Alexandre. Thank you so much, Jasmine. It's been such a pleasure. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a great evening. Take care.
You
Bye.
as well.